Digital audio health by Cymatrax.
Welcome to the Rhonda Grant Show with your host, Rhonda Grant. If you believe that there is more to life than what you see right now, and you want to find out more, listen in as her guests share their journey and their extraordinary experiences. Now, here is your host, Rhonda Grant.
Welcome to the Rhonda Grant Show. Sometimes the universe has a way of placing people or obstacles in your path to help guide and direct you on your mission. Listen in as we discover the path my guest has traveled. Has she been inspired by a calling, crafted her journey, or a bit of both? I invite you to embrace the conversation and to use it to help you to recognize if this is happening in your life. Our guest today is Monica Ramirez, the warrior of love. Monica is an artist of authenticity, which means she is an artist in the traditional sense, and she also helps people master the art of love. As a transformational belief coach, Monica is passionate about helping clients from confusion to clarity, from feeling unworthy to becoming integrated, and in love with life itself. She is certified in many modalities. She works in groups and one-on-one. Monica empowers others to paint the picture of warrior confidence so they can fulfill their dreams. Welcome to the Rhonda Grant Show, Monica.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And you live in Texas, on close to the border of Mexico.
Yes, in McAllen, Texas.
Yes. And so what's the temperature there today?
Today we're probably around 90.
Oh, my goodness. Humidity, or is it dry heat?
We're close to the beach. It's close to Padre Island, so it is humid. It is always humid and hot.
It's humid and hot, yes. You and I met in Boston at Harvard, and it just seems like we can just pick up right where we left off. So I'm very, very interested in a program that you have called Activating Your Multidimensional Energy. Can you speak about that?
Sure. Well, I am a channeler, and one of the things that I've been teaching channeling for a long, long time. And many of my clients ask me after I do different healings, because beside of channeler, I am a neurolinguistic programmer. I am also a hypnotherapist and life coach. And when I do my therapies, that a lot of them are channel them. I channel when I do it. They ask me, how do you do it? Because it is basically how to remove clearing your family lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Also about past lives to see if there's something in there, and removing entities, and also removing sexual energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we also do a soul retrieval, and we also do all the different kinds of channeling that exist. We also do in there aligning the chakras and balancing the chakras, but in a different way as a Reiki practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
I am a Reiki master, but a while back I start going more into the theta level of the conscience. So like that, I call it that the breathing system. And for me, it gave me the capacity to start working with the programations of everybody have. So like that, we can transform our life however we want it. And in that class, I am given a certification from multidimensional energy channeler and healer in that program.
Mm-hmm. And when you speak about multidimensional, can you let our listeners know what that means? Because I'm very intrigued by that word.
Yeah, well, multidimensional means that we're channeling all our guides, our ascended masters, beings of the highest vibrations and energy.
Mm-hmm.
I how to work with basically removing the fears and believing in themselves, because that is very basic if you're going to start channeling. And if you wanted to, I remember like this is one example. One time
Mhm.
I was doing balancing and aligning the chakras to one of my clients. In the way I do it, one of my guides tell me, now you're going to take out the rods out of their head. And I was like, what? What I'm gonna do? Like, yes, put your hands in this position, and then you're gonna connect it to the pineal gland, and you're gonna imagine that it's getting connected, and now you're gonna put it in the other side. And they were guiding me the
Mhm.
whole session, my guides, and I did not understood then what I was doing, and it's like I was just following the steps how they were telling me. And when my client left, they feel amazing, they feel connected, they feel amplify their energy and everything. And I asked them, what happened? What I just did? And they tell me, this is an old technique that they used to use, even the Mayas. They used to teach their kids how to do it since they were little. So like that, they're connected. They when you see all the Catholic religions, that you
Mhm.
see they painted the halo around them. It is basically that halo that we were all human beings. We have it, but we got disconnected to ourselves, and it's connected to our pineal gland, and that's what they were doing. My ancestors and the Mayas, and that's something that is not taught anymore. So they instruct me how to do this, and I've been doing this to my clients, to many of them. So like that, they can amplify their their connections directly to source or to any of the guides, and elevating the vibration. It is basically very important. So like that, you when you communicate with any of the higher beings, you're communicating at the same time with beings that are on the highest planes, so you don't have to be so afraid of who you are channeling anymore, because you know you're protected and you're safe.
Mhm. And so when you are having a session with someone, do you have to prepare ahead of time in order to transcend to that level, in order to tap into what's available to you? Because this is not available to everyone. You are very special, very unique, and I'm so mystified by this. So does it happen? Does all of this happen once you're in the spirit of the person who has come to see you?
Well, when I have a session one-on-one with my any of my clients, in the moment they sign up for a session with me, they're making the intention.
Okay.
So everything starts changing in the moment they sign up to having a session with me, and how much compromise they're doing to themselves to heal whatever, or reprogram, or remove any blockage or whatever they have, because they're making the intention in that moment. So when and in that moment I start receiving also the connection with them at the same time. So when they come to the session, I'm already prepared. I already have the downloads, what do I have to do. And many other times they tell me, oh, there is another layer down there that we have to dig deep, that we have to go and remove this, or ask more questions about it. What do they really want? Because yes, many as a NLP, one of the first questions that we always ask is what do you want? And but the thing is, the majority of the human beings do not know what they want.
No, they don't.
No, so they are not going to achieve anything because they are not being guided. They don't have the path, because they are not. They forgot completely what they really want. They know 20,000 things what they don't want. So and they're going around and around what they don't want. So that's one of the first things. They start guiding me. Okay, start pushing here, start pushing there, start asking these questions. So like that we can get what they really want, and that's how
Hmm.
I start any of my appointments.
Hmm. And so when you say that they have forgotten, are you talking about their soul's journey? Their soul has forgotten, and they have to find out what that is?
Well, we all human beings, we are programmed. We have any kid that there's around 2 to 3 years old, they will tell you stories where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They can tell you amazing stories of how powerful they were or they are.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that the parents do, it is try to block them out and tell them that is not true. That's you're imagining this and so forth. That's when the first blockage comes. So they tell me, oh, I have an imaginary friend. Oh, that's not true. You're not watching this. You're not seeing that. And they make fun or and they start gaslighting the little baby, the little kid, the toddler. Then that's when the blockages start coming and they start growing up. Even if they have the gifts, I had the gifts when I was little, but of course I was gaslighted like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot from me to start believing in myself that actually what I was seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, it was actually true. And in the moment that people start working with themselves, they start remembering because we all have that remembrance. Like I tell many of my students, I'm not teaching you something new. I'm just remembering something, reminding you something that you already know. Because it's just about, we just have to remember what we lost in timing, translation, and everything.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that the majority of people that you have sessions with are searching? They've gotten to a point in their life where they're just not happy, but they don't understand why they're not happy. And so they go on this search or this quest to find out, and you're the missing piece of the puzzle for them in order for them to springboard to their next level.
Well, I am a transformational belief coach.
Okay.
Someone search for me. They are already trying to find what they have lost, why they're so unhappy, why they're repeating the same story over and over. And we have, of course, a discovery call for so many times. And that's when they start telling me, I feel depressed, I feel anxiety, I don't know what I want. Or they're telling me the program that they're running. Every single human being are running a story in their head. And not necessarily that is true, but they're running with that story in their head. In the moment you're showing them that story they're running in their head, that's when they realize, oh, I've been lying to myself, or I've been so afraid, or I've been looking for approval, or they're telling you what is the real reason why they're running with that story in their head. So it is easier in the moment they can observe it, it is easier they can change it. And sometimes we have to dig deeper, and that's when I like to go into the theta level. So like that we can go. It is not hypnosis. There's a myth between hypnosis that you lose conscience, and you're gonna start. They're gonna tell you to do things. That is not true. I am a hypnotherapist, and you never lose your conscience. So you're gonna be aware of everything, and that includes also in the theta level. When you're working in that level, you're working with the subconscious, but the other person is still hearing. So if there's a trauma when they were a kid, and that make them not believe enough in themselves, or not thinking they're good enough, or they deserve better, it is going to be founded. Usually it comes out when they're a kid. That's where everything is born. And I'm not guilting the parents about this, because they were already programmed too. Everybody's being programmed, and they didn't know what they were doing. The only difference now from our parents or grandparents, it is that now we're more conscious that we can change and we can have a different reality. That's the future generations. And the old generations, they thought that that's how it was going to be life, and just take it, and you're going to be like that until the day you died.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are conditioned from the moment we arrive, and then we go into a public school system or whatever school system, and we're conditioned there, not only how to sit, how to speak, but also how to act. And if the teachers don't help you, your friends will certainly help you to stay in line. Everybody's to hold hands and get along. So I think, do you find that people lose themselves along the way then?
Yes, since you were a kid, you're trying to fit in.
You're
You,
trying to.
you're trying to be accepted and loved and protected and cared for. So you lose yourself in those moments. You accept the conditioning. No one, well, as you know, no one can make us harm in any way unless we accept it. And that applies for little kids too. And kids are very harmful. They're not, they can be, that's where the bullies are. They start because they're not, they're bullies also as an adults, but that's where the bullies start because they're trying to fit in and they're looking for love, for attention and so forth. And that's where other kids are looking for the same thing. And that's when they said give too much to whatever group they want to fit in, or the parents. And if the parents are divorcing, okay, which parent they're going to be listened to, the one that giving more presents or the one that giving less presents, or the one is more manipulative than the other one that is more less manipulative. And that applies also for kids. So we lose ourselves when we fall for all this. And that's how we started losing ourselves, and that's where the programs, we accept programs even if we don't believe in them. I studied with nuns. I went with a nun school, and it was, of course, it was a Catholic school. And in there, they always tell me you cannot talk to God. The only one who can talk to God is the priest. So you have to follow the rules because the priest is the only one who can negotiate with God about your salvation, or else you're going to go to hell. There's a lot of manipulation and control in that. But that's the only way human beings, we can be controlled by fear. And they use it in religions, they use it in schooling, they use it in governments, they use it in everything. Until we become aware what is really happening, that's how we can change it.
Mm-hmm. When we tap into our personal power,
Exactly.
right? The power that we've come here with. And I don't mean power as power controlling. I mean the actual power that we have with our soul and the power that we have to be happy, to find happiness and to find our vocation and to give back to society, right? Because there's a whole shift in human consciousness that the more you look, the more people are taking part in it.
And there's a lot of distortion about that. What is happiness? What is even love? There's a lot of distortion.
Mm-hmm.
That people think that if you need someone, it's because you love them person, and that is very wrong. If you want to change someone, that doesn't mean that you're loving that person. Love is when we're having a baby recently born in our hands, and we just see beauty and love, and we're not trying to change them at all. We just love them. That is unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And that same love applies for a puppy, or applies for a flower, or applies for a sunset, or something beautiful that we're seeing. We're not trying to change it. We just love it and we connect to it. And the majority of the couples, when they go into a relationship, they're trying to change each other. Oh, I'm going to change these defects. I'm going to change that defects. And it doesn't matter if they're 20 or they're 50. They're thinking in the same way. So later on, when they realize that they can't change the other person, that's when the conflicts start in a relationship. So love it have the misconception. And growing up in a Catholic church, they tell me the more that you suffer, the more then you're gonna go to heaven. That's the only way. That is so wrong, and that can bring so much distortion to every single human being, because that is not true. Our job as a human beings, it was never about suffering. It was about learning to love.
Mm-hmm.
And we forgot those details. And I am just Right now, my experience as a human being, it is to remind people who they truly are. And we didn't came to suffer. We came here to love and release everything that do not vibrate in that in love frequency.
Hmm. And with your clients, are you finding that they are starting to recognize their vibrational frequency?
Yes, the majority after working with me, it can be one-on-one or it can be in group settings. We are working precisely on that and learning to forgive themselves, letting go shame and blame, getting out of being a victim, because sometimes that can even get you sick. Like I used to have lupus, RA, and fibromyalgia, and that's how I heal myself. When I stopped being trying to be the victim, that was one of the biggest things that changed me and healed me. So in my clients, when they realize that they are letting go that the shame and the blame and the guilt that is getting them stuck, and that comes with fears and that comes with envy and competition and all this kind of stuff. That's when they can actually start observing the real light being that they are. They start loving without trying to change it themselves, just accepting for who they are. And yes, if they want to transform something, transform their lives, it is because they want to and not because they were forced to by a society to change. That is very different. That I wanted to change, I don't know, um, jealousy, let's put it like that.
Okay.
But not because the other people are telling me that I have to change it. It's just because it is a very uncomfortable emotion that many people have. It is not my case, but I just put it as an example.
Mhm. Do you find that people's lives are their story and they want to keep with that story, and it's hard to you need to sort of bust out or break out of that whole conditioned story that you have in order to move forward? Like, can you give me an example? Have you seen like a breakthrough where somebody has totally transformed? Not like in one session, I don't mean that, but and describe what that was like for that person?
Yes, I do. Like I told you earlier, that everybody has their own story. Every single human being, it doesn't matter if it's a kid or it's elderly. Everybody having a story behind their in their head. That is what is running. That's what their identity is in there. What do they think who they are? Male, female, old, young, artistic, or into the sports or whatever story it is. That's who they think they are. So in the moment I work with them and removing that story, that identity, they create a new reality, and the reality that they really want, not the reality that someone is telling them to have. Because we are programmed. My parents wish I was a bookkeeper, and never happened. Why? Because I was more into the arts. My mother wish I was a cheerleader. When I was more a tomboy, I was like, I want to paint and I want to do sculptures and things like that. That I don't want to be a cheerleader. And but I was one of the few cases that I did not follow. I was not such a good girl. I did not follow what my parents wanted. But the majority of the human beings, they are good girls or good boys, and they follow whatever the parents tell them to. And the parents are following whatever the church or whatever their friends, because they're also in competition with their neighbors, with their other friends, and they want their kid to be like that, so and so. And unto the point that the kid forget why he's doing what they're doing. So in the moment you affront that in front of, you put it in front of them, why they're doing and repeating the same thing over and over again, that's when they realize, oh my God, I've been following a pattern that I don't even like. I am doing things that I was programmed by a society, by the church, by the religion, by politics, by whatever it was, to be someone that I don't even like. So when they remove that, they can start really loving themselves because they encounter the real being that they are, and now they can choose what they want to be and start telling a different story and creating a new identity. And if you create a new identity, you create a new life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You touched on something there that I have a curiosity about. Your painting, your sculpturing. You found yourself in painting and sculpturing, and do you sort of lose yourself and also your students, because you teach painting? Do you find that students are able to perhaps transcend a little bit when they are in the moment?
I've been teaching art classes since around 25 years ago to kids, adults, and adult people with different discapacities, like blind people. I had two art galleries when I have dealt with many artists that when they arrive the first time, what they have all in common is none of them believe in themselves. And I mean, in that time, of course, I did not knew what I was doing, and I did not have the training or the certifications when I had my gallery, when I was teaching. I did not knew that I was coaching in that time to all of them. I just thought that I was teaching art until I started seeing the blind people, because I worked 4 years for the National Federation of the Blind, teaching them how to paint and creating art exhibits for them. And some of them, the paintings, even they went to Italy. And people were starting to ask me, how do you teach them how to paint? It's like a majority of the blind people, they're people that were born blind, and they're people that they became blind for diabetes or whatever reason it was. And you tell all of them how it feels blue, and they would tell you it feels cold, or how it feels red, it feels hot, and so on. So how would you imagine a sunset? Oh, it has some colds and it has some hots, and they start imagining the colors, and that's how they paint. So I believe art is a therapy for every single human being. It doesn't matter it's only painting or it's music or it's dancing or it is acting. It doesn't matter what form we are talking about art. It is always a therapy. I have used this. I started painting when I was 6. I started exhibiting when I was 13. And I exhibit all around the world. And I did not knew that I was channeling then my art until about 7 years ago. That's when I realized that I do it through my poetry, that I do it through my sculpting, or I do it through my paintings. Because that's when many times, not necessarily I channel my guides. Sometimes I'm just channeling an emotion that it needs to be released. So that's what I work a lot of the times with my students. I have even an emotional boot camp that is for art, and then basically it's this: if they are having grief or they're having anxiety or depression or any kind of emotion that is making them block themselves, like, okay, let's paint it out, let's get it out, that emotion. And that is very, very helpful for them, because at the same they're having the not only the meditation and so forth that goes with it, but they're releasing those emotions. Besides that, you can channel, of course, your guides, and you can channel the messages and so forth, but the emotion, you can channel it too.
I love when you said you can paint it out. That's awesome. You're listening to the Rhonda Grant Show, whose podcast has been treated with digital audio health by my sponsor, Symatrex. And I'm speaking with Monica today. Monica, can you let people know how to reach you?
Sure. My website is Monica Ramirez, warrioroflove.com. And I wanted to tell you about my book that is coming out.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yes, my book is coming out around November. I created a system, a transformational system from path to the heart. And this is the first book in the first level. And the first level is basically, it is getting out of your own way. And in this level, it is releasing your fears, believing in yourself, letting go shame and blame, and getting out of your victimhood. So like that, they can empower themselves. And of course, we talk about desire. We talk about different kinds of conscience that keep you there. So like that, they can start learning how to love themselves. And the second level, it is that is coming out hopefully at the end of this year. That book, it is more about soul retrieval. It is going to be more. It's like the program that I'm going to be teaching. That it is more soul retrieval, and it is basically cleaning family lineage. That many of us, we tend to repeat the same story for our family lineage. It is about karma. It is about how to breaking contracts and vows, that we do it all the time because we are not aware of what we're coming out of from our mouth. And yes, I'm very excited for my book that is coming out this in November.
Oh, it's very exciting. Is this your first book, Monica?
I have participated in Blue Talks as one of
Yes.
the authors before, and in many other anthologies. I have I already published my poetry book, that is my channel messages in Spanish. Right now it's gonna come out in English at the same time, and this book that is already right now with the editors and ready to be published.
Perfect. And so may people buy it when it's available? May they purchase it on Amazon?
Yes, yes, it will be in Amazon.
Mm-hmm. So you listeners, you want to write that down. It's called Getting Out of Your Getting Out of Your Way and Finding Your Way.
Yes, from path to the heart, and it will be also in my website that will be linked to Amazon. Monica Ramirez, warrioroflove.com.
And can you spell your last name for the audience?
Sure. Ramirez is Ramirez. Ramirez.
Perfect. Do you feel that you've been called to your work?
I believe all the human beings, we have a mission and we're unique and special. All of us. I'm no more special than anyone else. The only thing is I remember. I remember why I am here. I remember what is my path. Why I believe that everything that I have passed, it was just teachings and learning, so like that I can help others in the same situation that I've been. And yeah, many of the light workers, star seeds, healers, coaches, etc., we did not have it easy. But that was part of the lessons and teachings and the training that it was going to be needed. So like that we can help others. So I remember why I am here.
That is wonderful. So when you talk about, you said contracts and vows. Who are these contracts and vows with?
Well, every time, I'm not going to put you this example. When a couple fall in love and they're so in love and they promise each other love, I will love you forever, and I will never leave you, and I will be always faithful and this and that, and I will take care of you until the day you died. What happened when that relationship breaks and they get divorced? You already did a contract by vow. You did a vow to that person. So you get divorced, but you're still connected to that person. So you're going to look, in fact, for a person that is very similar to that person that you were married before. And maybe physically are different, but emotionally and the way they act and so forth is going to be the same person. You still feel attracted to certain traits because of the same vow. Or I'm going to hate this person forever, or I'm never going to talk to that person because of this. Those are contracts that we're making. Those are vows that we're making at the same time. We're not aware what is coming out from our mouth because we make contracts every single day. And that's just in this plane, in this timeline. Now, how many contracts and vows we have making from past lives that we don't even remember? That is in our subconscious. It is still there, but not in our conscious. We don't remember that we did it when we, in the 1500, we did the same vow that we did to the same person in this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And we married them again. So
Because is it because our souls recognize each other?
yes, and if we didn't close the circle then, we have to close the circle now. So if you did not knew how to valorate yourself and love yourself then, you're still working on that right now. Until you do it, you're going to be repeating the same lesson until you understand what you learn from that lesson and you let it go. And you need to learn to forgive the other person and yourself for choosing that. If not, you're going to continue repeating the same story over and over. Yes, we can cut the contracts and vows spiritually in many ways, but if you don't understand why you chose to live with a certain person, like I was, as an example, I was beaten. I was beaten by one of my ex-husbands, and I was hating him so much, and that's when I was sick.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I heal myself is when I understood what do I learn from that relationship, and I needed to learn to forgive him, and not because of him, because of me, and I was needing to love myself and forgive myself for choosing him. Because I stayed those 5 years in that terrible relationship when I was getting beaten because I chose to. Yes, I might be afraid. I can have many motives why I stay, but it was my choice. So I was responsible of that.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that, based on that, do you feel that our souls come with, I don't really try to articulate this, with a set of things that they need to learn in this life, and that it's set up that you are going to meet those people in order to learn those things, or is this random?
Well, something that my guides have told me, that every single human being, when we come to this plane, we already make our contracts before we came. We already make the agreements with other souls to help us to understand what is unconditional love to ourselves, or honor ourselves, and so forth, or whatever work or teachings we're needing to learn. And if I like it or not, like in the case of the example of my ex-husband that used to beat me, it is basically, he appointed himself, I will beat you, because no one wanted to beat me and be that person that I was needing to learn that lesson as a better woman. And soul to soul, they make that agreement, so he will be the perpetuator in this timeline for me. So yes, I was needing to forgive him because I put myself in that situation. If I love myself enough and I value myself enough and I know I deserve better things for me, I would not even accept him. But I have not learned that lesson then. So there came this lesson that it was very heavy, that it was very terrible, that I put myself in it. And the only way that I can get out of that alive, it was learning that I should value myself and love myself. Or else, how many women, they die getting beaten because they did not learn that lesson.
Mm-hmm. And if they do leave, they will go back a few times even, right?
Right.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. What extraordinary discovery have you found in your life, Monica?
It's been, so many discoveries. I have learned to love myself and accept myself and believe in me. The basis of everything, that's why I became a transformational belief coach. It was believing in yourself. It is what is going to make the big change. That you're worthy, that you're lovable, that you deserve everything that you wish. But if we don't believe in ourselves, we're going to be stuck in wherever we are. The big change in our lives, it is believing in ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Most people who go through what you've gone in your life, they show it on their face, and you are so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being on the show. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, which is important. And I'd like you to tell the guests again what is the name of your book?
Getting out of your way and finding your way. From Path to the Heart. And my name is Monica Ramirez. And my website is monicaramirezwarrioroflove.com.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for being on the Rhonda Grant Show, Monica.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you everybody for listening.
Theme song for the Rhonda Grant Show, Sun on the Water, is composed and performed by my friend John Park Wheeler. This is Rhonda Grant with the Rhonda Grant Show, author of Magical Forces Within, Extraordinary Discoveries in an Ordinary Life, inviting you to look for the magical forces within yourself today and every day. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rhonda Grant Show with your host, Rhonda Grant. If you would like to find out more information about Rhonda and her upcoming guests and the work that she does, go to her website, rhondagrantauthor.com. That's rhondagrantauthor.com.
Digital audio health by Cymatrax.